We have 4 books to present, and I'm proud to present the very first books of the 4, which is the Åke Rietz Collection of Great Britain, the line engraved issues from 1840 to 1870. So, Åke, you're here. It's great to have you here together with your wife Gunilla. Welcome today. Åke, would you join me here on stage to tell our guests a little about you, a little about your collection, please? And I have a second micro for you. Should work. Okay. Åke, you had a long journey here to Monaco. Tell us, where do you come from?
I come from Halmstad in Sweden.
Where's Halmstad?
Halmstad is a city on the west coast of Sweden, where I was born 77 years ago, actually. And I studied at the University of Lund. I took a degree in finance. And
yes. I've read about this. You passed examination already in 1968.
Yeah.
And I've learned a little about you and your career. And you married Gunilla already in 1968. And I mentioned Gunilla first. So Gunilla, you're here. You joined Åke for today. Please stand up and say. It's always great to have the wives here with us, with the collector. So you passed examination in 1968 and you married Gunilla at the same time, just before you passed.
67 actually.
67? Oh,
45 years ago.
Oh, now we have an error of printing in the book, so okay. And you have 2 wonderful children, Carl and Sophie. And just Åke, tell us about your life, possibly about your professional career. Let me say, I have heard you and Gunilla moved during the last, I think, 40 or so years, 13 times. So you're a world traveler. Just tell us.
That's correct. I started my career as an auditor in Uppsala, because that's what I was educated for, actually. The exam I took was in auditing. But after a year or so, I found out that I wanted to come out in the real world, in the executive world. So I got a job at Ericsson in Stockholm, at their cable division. And within a year or so, we were moving to Mexico. I was financial manager for the cable factory at Ericsson in Mexico. And we spent some 4.5 years there. Our youngest child was born there, actually, so she has a double nationality, Swedish and Mexican. We then, for family reasons, I would say, moved back to Sweden, to the famous town of Halmstad again. And I started to work for an American company and for a couple of years, and then I was approached by a Swedish company in the Bonnier group called the Dunebilo in Halmstad. Some of the Swedish people might know about that company. And I worked there for many years, and then after 13 years, there came an offer I couldn't refuse, actually. So I was appointed CFO and Vice President of SCA, a large Swedish paper company. So we moved again up to Sundsvall, in the northern part of Sweden. And as happens in larger companies, the head office in small towns moved to bigger towns, so we moved to Stockholm. And then after some years there, I made a lot of quarterly reports, and so on, and presentations. I was a little bit fed up with that, so thought I could do something else in the company, so I was then appointed in charge of mergers and acquisitions for the American continent within the SCA company. So we moved to New York, spent a little more than 4 years there. And then the last half year, again, back to Mexico, but for the SCA company. So, and then I was retired, and then I could take up my philately a little bit more seriously.
So what a journey, what a professional journey through various countries of the world. So you learned, by the way, you learned Spanish, I have heard.
Yes.
During the time in Mexico. So you love the Spanish-speaking country. So you have a second home.
Yeah, we have a second home in southern Spain.
Not in Mexico.
No, in Anaheim, outside Malaga.
Okay. And so you enjoy your life with Gunilla and partly with your children. Then in two places, in your home country of Sweden and in Spain. I learned.
The best of two worlds.
The best of two worlds. Okay. Åke, coming to philately and to the stamp collection. When did you start collecting stamps?
That was when I was rather young. I was 8, 10 years or so, and I started to collect because my father was a stamp collector since a number of years. He was a keen collector. He was a half-time stamp collector and half-time worker, you can say. He got a problem with his lungs, so he couldn't work full-time. So every afternoon he was sitting with his stamps, and he learned me how to handle the stamps, and I took care of all the subscriptions that came in from a supplier of new stamps from many countries, I must say. And he introduced me to some areas which I collected myself. That was stamps with animals on, stamps, yeah. So I built up a small collection of that actually, and also with sport motifs. And actually I was 13 years of age in 1958. I participated in my first exhibition in Helsingborg with my animal stamp collection. So
what medal was?
No, it was just a diploma.
A diploma?
In the youth class.
Okay, in these days, yeah.
Okay. So, yeah, that's how it started.
So, your father was in a very favorite situation. I know this. My father was also a stamp collector, and I have been asked so often from customers and friends, how did your father manage that the bacillus of philately spread over to you and that you continue to collect? So I know that your father must have been very happy that you shared the hobby with him.
Yes, I hope so. Unfortunately, he passed away rather early in his life, but he introduced me in a very good way, I must say, and I learned. I helped him with his Great Britain collection, because he helped him in the way that I on an old-fashioned writing machine.
Typewriter?
Typewriter, yes. Wrote small pieces of paper that you put on the pages. That's how you mounted the pages at that time.
At that time, yeah. And then, why did you choose Great Britain? Was it initially by your father, or what made it happen that you finally started or built up such an important collection of Great Britain?
No, it was actually my father who started it, and he in his turn had bought the base of it from a friend in Halmstad, and then he built, continued to buy. I remember he went to Germany at auction houses, Mormon, Guy Mormon, I remember, and also to the British auction houses, and bought stamps to introduce in his collection. So he was the founder, and as I said, he passed away rather young in his life in 73, when we were in Mexico, actually. He lived in Mexico. So during the first years after that, not much happened, because I was working all the time. So, but in the late, during the 90s, I started more seriously to continue the collection.
And to enhance the collection and to bring it to its importance with what the collection has today. Last question, what does philately mean for you today? So, or let's say that since you retire, or the last 15 years or 10 years, or even today. So you were very active.
Yeah, it means a lot. I would say, especially there are many aspects. One is the social side. I very much appreciate being with friends, philatelic friends, different associations. And I'm also a little bit of a man of order. You should be order.
As a controller, I can imagine.
Yeah. So I said to people, how can you go on with this? It's like when I mount a page, it's like looking at a nice picture, a nice painting. A page of stamp should look like a nice painting. So it's a combination of social and art, you can say.
Interesting. Yes, you mentioned the pages, and it's like arts. So with your Great Britain collection, so you have the Sweden collection of the cipher issues, but for the Great Britain collection, you have exhibited various times, so many times I must say, and I have just simply chosen here 4 key pillars. So your first international gold medal for your Great Britain collection, you won in Israel in 1998, so a quarter of a century ago, nearly a quarter of a century ago. Then you got the first international large gold medal in New Delhi at Indipex in India in 2011. In 2013, so you got large gold all over the world. So on the other side of the world, in Rio de Janeiro, you got your second large gold for your Great Britain collection. 2019, this was extraordinary. You got your large gold for the Great Britain in Stockholm, yeah? And you also got large gold for your Sweden collection. For 2 collections in 1 international show, and the fourth large gold medal you got in Lugano about 5 months ago at Helvetia. And I think 4 international large gold collection for Great Britain collection. I can only congratulate you.
Okay, thank you.
And it's a great pleasure and honor for us, for Dieter, for me, and my team of the Global Philatelic Network to publish your wonderful collection of Great Britain line engraved issues 1840 to 1870 with us for future generations. And I would like to present the first book here on stage for you. Thank you so much.
Okay. Thank you.